Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, get ready to indulge your legal curiosity with a unique blend of knowledge and entertainment on Legal Candy with attorney Candace Colucci. Each week, she unwraps the sweet secrets of the legal world, covering a wide range of topics from property insurance claims and personal injury to national and Florida law topics. Guests will include industry whistleblowers, industry experts, and sweet surprises. Get ready for a flavorful journey through the legal landscape. And now, let's dive in with Candace.
Hello, and welcome to Legal Candy, where we unravel the intricacy and the secrets of law bit by savory bit, and sometimes a little less savory, depending on what we're talking about. I am attorney Candace Colucci, and joining in our studio today is MK, our producer and content writer and paralegal at Colucci Law Group. So we're here to serve you the most compelling legal cases and the latest breaking legal news. Our mission is to empower you with understanding of the legal principles and the lesser known facts, offering you clear insight into the workings behind the scenes of legal battles. We aim to foster inclusivity and curb division, arming you with wisdom, power, and the legal insight so that you're fully informed. So when you get into those break room conversations, or just I would say the Facebook warriors and Instagram warriors, when you get into the nitty gritty fighting with people about anything that has to do with law, we hope that you get some information from us where you can be like the one with the most knowledge in the conversation. So you feel more empowered by the information, but you're also kind of right. So that's our goal, is to really give you enough information so you feel empowered by it, but you also can have educated conversations with other people about all of the great things that happen in law and celebrity news that are connected to law, or just life news that's connected to law. So I am an attorney, and I'm with Colucci Law Group, and we are your trusted ally for navigating through any type of kind of legal battles. We specialize in hurricane claims, personal injury, immigration. So if you have any questions for us, please reach out to our law firm. We always want to remind people, our legal disclaimer is to remind you that anything that is spoken about today does not create an attorney-client privilege or relationship, and that laws can change depending on what jurisdiction you're in. So if you have any further questions, please reach out to us at 727-733-9438. If we cannot help you, we will point you in the right direction of who can, so you don't feel like you're navigating anything alone, especially as we start getting closer to hurricane season. We're going to definitely be talking about what that means for people. They have already predicted, and how they do that predictions is a whole kind of story, but they are predicting this may be the most active hurricane season. So what that means is we just want to make sure everybody is prepared to be safe and understands what it means in regards to your insurance claims, especially since now people are becoming very aware of their insurance policy since those rates have been rising. So you want to make sure, if you've been paying for insurance and if something happens, that you are knowledgeable in what you need to do in order to make sure you have protected your rights to that insurance claim, so that you can get back all that money you potentially put in, which was to protect your property. So we'll be helping future episodes. We'll definitely be talking about, as we start getting closer to hurricane season, how do you do that? But today, in breaking news, we are still going to talk again about Diddy. Diddy, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, depends on what you call him. He has just been all over the news. And so we talked about him on our last episode, and we didn't get to the end of it. And now we've got more developments, and we want to definitely talk about what are some of those civil allegations that have already been alleged in those lawsuits against Diddy. What are the actual facts that they're alleging? And then kind of where the case stands today. So, and what has happened since then? So what we kind of already probably braced ourselves with was the fact that a lot of times, especially like with this Me Too movement and these things that are surrounding sexual assault or allegations of sexual assault, is that when there's usually one that comes forward, especially in the celebrity world, then there's usually more, right? So, and I don't know if it means that where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, it could, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of when you're going after someone who's powerful, has money, that a lot of these alleged victims have felt that they've been bullied, that they're alone, that if they come forward, their career will be over. So a lot of times when one person finally comes forward, it usually means that there's going to be more. And that's not just with celebrity news. We've seen it times in criminal law. Even if somebody has alleged that somebody has raped somebody else, a lot of times the police department starts looking to see it. There's usually more victims. It's not normally a one-off. And so they start looking to say, are there more victims? Does anybody else want to come forward? So that is what has happened here. So far, there is... And I will stress about the fact that we always want to tell people this information we're talking about today is available on public records. This is based on what we're finding. We are talking about people right now who have been charged with things. Maybe we get to the criminal side, but if there's people who have been charged with crimes, they have not been convicted yet. And also right now, these are just allegations because they're for in regards to Diddy and Diddy's family, there isn't charges yet. But the civil allegations are also the same thing. They're allegations until a court of law comes back and says, yes, we believe that these things have actually happened. So right now, he is innocent of all of this until proven guilty by a criminal court or proven liable by a civil court. And so right now, neither one of those have happened. But as it stands here today, the newest lawsuit that has been filed is in Los Angeles. There is a lawsuit that has been, I think it was out of Los Angeles, but yes, okay. The newest lawsuit is against his son. So this is Sean Combs. He's got a couple sons. So this is Sean Combs. So the allegations, it's Christian Combs. Okay, yeah, gotta get my son's names right. So Christian Combs, the allegations that Christian Combs sexually assaulted a young woman in late December 2022 while she was working on a boat charter that had been sold as a wholesome family excursion, but turned into a hedonistic environment. Those are her words, or her lawyer's words, I would say. So, and how this all kind of stems together is that we were talking before about the big civil lawsuit that has come out that has potentially sparked the federal investigation that now they've raided Diddy's home. That those allegations were that there was a producer his name was Lil Rodney Jones, and he was producing for Diddy's latest album, and he was doing that during, I think, 2022 to 2023, and he has made allegations of sexual assault, grooming, a bunch of different stuff, which we'll go into more, against P. Diddy. And so now there's another lawsuit. So now, and I think the connection ended up being that during the lawsuit that Mr. Jones filed against P. Diddy, he had alluded and stated that some of the things he had seen were at these parties, including this subject yacht party, that there's an allegation that they are drugging the girls, that they're sex workers, that they are forcing them to do things they don't want to do. And so this now is the newest lawsuit. It is filed by the same lawyer. Okay. And what I thought was interesting. So about this lawyer, I want to skip to this lawyer because this was what I was talking about before. And we talked about what your obligations as a lawyer are. And really what was said was that when a lawyer goes to file a lawsuit, the very first thing that you're filing in a civil case is a complaint. That's what you're filing. That's what we call it, a civil complaint. You're going after someone because you believe they've wronged you in some way, and the result is you are wanting some type of money most of the time as a penalty for this. It's not criminal. It is civil. And so this lawyer who filed the civil lawsuit against Diddy with Mr. Jones, the Rodney Jones, the producer, that went on for pages and pages and pages of pictures and allegations, I had stated and I had said is that I believed that the way the complaint was written, it was written like it read like really kind of a crappy novel. Was
Yeah,
really
I was
what it
just
did.
gonna say,
It really
like a cheap
wasn't even a
romance
good
novel.
novel. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a bad novel. That's really what it read like. And there was pictures of Diddy and pictures of Cuba Gooding Jr. and all this salacious stuff. And that's what I stated before, is that one of the things we're not supposed to be doing in complaints, because there is a protection when you file a lawsuit. There is a legal protection that you can't go after that person for defamation, because we want to be able to protect people. When you're filing a lawsuit in a court case, it isn't proven that those allegations are right yet, or that they're factual yet, until you go through the legal proceedings. And at that point in time, when you get to the end, when there's a jury, then that's when it becomes potentially fact. Or fiction if they come back and they say that it wasn't, that they didn't believe that the allegations were true. So because of that, when the lawyer is filing a complaint, we have an obligation to make sure that our complaint is very much not scandalous. That is the word the courts have used before. And if it is scandalous, the other attorney can move to strike some of the allegations in the lawsuit, because they don't want it to be this big show when you're filing a complaint. It's supposed to be the basic elements of what you're potentially going to prove, and that's really it. And there was way more than that in this complaint. It went on for 80 pages, and it was like, then we did this, and then I went here, and it just kept on going and kept on going. And what I found so interesting that MK found was that the lawyer is Tyrone Blackburn, and that a federal judge, Denise Cody, criticized Blackburn for filing lawsuits seemingly designed to garner garner, well, I guess potentially could do that too, garner media attention, embarrass defendants with salacious allegations, and pressure defendants to settle quickly due to the public spectacle. It's exactly what I was talking about. And that's 100% what the plan was of that complaint. And as an attorney and a litigator, which I am, I know that lawyer also knows that a lot of those things that he alleged in there should not have been in the complaint. And I think that's exactly what the reasoning's for. The reason is so that there's a lot of attention that's on it. So I really thought it was interesting that just days ago, this judge has literally referred him, which is almost like the judge is complaining. The judge has complained and has alleged that this attorney is not engaging ethically, and then he sent it to the grievance committee of the New York Federal Court District, where they filed the court. And so they're also saying that he's done this before, because he has represented other alleged victims with celebrity people that these allegations are against, and they definitely are they're reading off the same way, where it's just way too much information that's not needed in an effort to potentially make this such a big deal so that the media all gets involved and potentially embarrass the defendants to where they're more willing to settle the case, which is not the way that it's supposed to be. The courts are saying, yes, if it's all for all reasons and purposes, somebody may settle a case because maybe they feel like they should, but it shouldn't be because you put them on such blast as an attorney, because we have a high obligation, that you put them on such blast in the way that you filed a complaint that they feel almost pressured in a way that's unfair to them to settle. So based on that, there's now an actual grievance that has been filed against this attorney, and now there'll be a board that will decide if they think that his actions are appropriate or not. It's not going to stop the lawsuit. And like I said, really the only remedy for that is that a judge can strike some of the allegations in the complaint if the other side says that. And then it just kind of changes what the complaint wordings are. And but it's already out there. It's already out there. Everyone has their hands on it. Everybody's looking at it. So we are going to go to our first break. So stay with us as we really kind of delve into what are the allegations so far against Diddy's son, and the allegations that are against him as they stand today, and what happened during that raid, because we've seen now the videos of what actually took place when they raided Diddy's home. Stay with us.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Get ready to elevate your nightlife experience at Club Prana. This 5-story sensation in Ybor City is the talk of Tampa Bay. Each floor boasts a unique style and music format. They roll out the red carpet as their friendly staff pampers you with VIP treatment. Club Prana meets Tampa's nightlife standards with impeccable amenities. Live the Lux life every evening at Club Prana. For VIP reservations and bottle service, call or text 813-758-7755. Coastal Roofing, your trusted Florida roofing experts, puts you first. They excel in delivering exceptional roofing and general contracting services, proudly serving all counties. Their dedicated team guarantees not just your complete satisfaction, but an unforgettable experience. You also get a free inspection report and damage report. Rooted in integrity and powered by expertise, they consistently achieve the right results on schedule and within budget. For one contractor, great price, expert service, Coastal Roofing. 1-800-674-3675.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Okay, so now going into some of the allegations. So the newest lawsuit that's against Diddy's son is alleging that there was sexual assault. So she's saying that while she was on the yacht, so she was working on the yacht, going to a Diddy party that she felt was going to be a family outing, and it turned out to be anything but. That one of the things that she says is she says that while she was there, that it seemed like the sex workers and everybody was there to have sex and drink, that some of these girls would have one drink and then they would be highly intoxicated. So she's alluding to the fact that she believes that they were being drugged. And then she also says that Mr. Combs, Christian Combs, kind of cornered her a couple of times, touched her inappropriately. And she's also stating that there is audio recordings of this, that Lil Jones is the one who has those audio recordings where you could hear her. We have not heard them, but that you can hear her telling Mr. Combs to stop. He doesn't. So she's suing Mr. Combs, the son, directly for sexual assault. But here's who she's also suing. And we've kind of talked about this before. Is she's also suing Diddy directly under premise liability. And the way that premise liability works is that if you are damaged by something that happens at a building, you can sue the person who actually hurt you, but you also can potentially sue the building owner. And what you're alleging there is that you had an obligation because you let me come in because it was a business. So like when you're suing Walmart and those things, and you had a level of responsibility to make sure that the area was safe. And so she's saying that Diddy, who was leasing this yacht, should have informed her of the fact that he knew or should have known that his son, who's engaging in this behavior, that there's allegations that there's this behavior that's been being engaged in, repeatedly in the past, that he failed to protect her from it by pretty much warning her and saying, hey, don't come on this yacht because here's what we do when you come on. Mm-hmm. So based on that, you can sue whoever owns the building or the area that you're in for premise liability is what we're saying, is that the premise, which is where you're at, is also liable for it. So that is why she's also sued Diddy in that instance. So the lawsuits, I would be remiss to say if I think that these are the last of them. I think it's probably going to spark a lot more that are potentially going to come forward. And so now let's get into some of the stuff that we were seeing. But we did see. So let's see what Diddy's been doing. So after all these things have come out, Diddy, what are you doing? Okay. So Diddy. Let's see, what was his? It was his Instagram? Yeah, his Instagram. And I thought it was really interesting too. Now, whether you're guilty of these things or, completely innocent, I don't know exactly how he should be behaving. I mean, I don't know exactly how I would behave besides probably hide out, because no matter what, these girls are coming forward with these allegations who believe that they were wrong. Same with Mr. Jones. But it's also, there's so many of them. There's so many that are coming out. And now you got celebrities that are talking out, saying that there is a lot of legitimacy to the stuff that's been said, that this whole entire world in the music world is very seedy. It involves a lot of abuse of their power, which we talked about before, and a lot of, it seems, homosexual sex between men that don't come out as homosexuals, and people being forced and felt groomed at a young age to engage in that act. So it is there. These are nightmarish allegations. And he seems, I think, right after the raid happened, I think he was, what was last time we talked about? He was out at like Top Golf or something like that with his daughters, like giving an L. I mean, I really kind of think I would lay down low, but it's not Diddy's way. So I think Diddy's way is, I think he's probably thinking and believing that he's innocent of all these things. So he should just act normal and come forward and not hide himself. But the post that he had was that he posted a video. The video is Victory. That's the name of the music video. He posts that music video and he captions it, "Bad Boy for Life." Bad Boy for Life. Bad Boy Records is a record company that he owns, and he's just saying that he's loyal to it for life. But in the video, the music video he posts, which is an old music video, it features Diddy, known as, Puff Diddy at the time, and the late Notorious B.I.G., but also includes Danny DeVito, who comments on Diddy's character being running from the law enforcement, branding him most wanted. So, I don't think it's funny. Even if you're just as innocent as can be, I don't see a reason to put a video like that. Like, he's in the video, I saw him, he's running from the police and there's helicopters and they're like, and he's like, "I'm getting away." Da, da, da. I'm like, if you're innocent, say, make some kind of statement. I cannot speak today about this, but I am prepared to vigorously defend my morals, my conduct. Like, these allegations are not true. And that's maybe, I think, the better approach. But there's nothing honorable about the fact that you're running from the police. Because the allegations are you were on a plane when it was happening. So I'm not a big fan of that. But I guess his idea is to make light of it at this point in time. In the
beginning of the video too, it showed like literally hedonistic parties too. That's like the very beginning of the Insta. Why is he pushing this envelope so hard?
Yep. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think that was I think it was a little like just distasteful at this point.
Pool.
Yeah. And of Diddy's music, I'm a fan. I have been. Absolutely. I don't know how a lot of people are fans of his music. And I also am a fan of there being just and making sure that someone has their opportunity to plead their innocence and until somebody has actually been proven at the end of a jury trial or pleading guilty or those kind of things. I think you're innocent until then, but I think it was a little distasteful. But okay. So talking about the raid that takes place. So the federal government has come in and they have raided Diddy's homes. And no, we don't have all the information to know exactly what the raid was in regards to, but it seems like from what we know is there's allegations in the civil lawsuit from Lil Jones, the producer who's suing Diddy, that there is sex trafficking. There's sex trafficking of potentially minors, drugging the minors. And that together is where you would potentially have implications that could spark a federal investigation because their jurisdiction would be state to state, and trafficking means you're probably moving them from state to state or they're coming from state to state. And so it looks like they're probably looking for evidence of that. So during the raid, if you haven't seen it, it literally looks like they were going to war. Mm-hmm. They brought in huge tanker trucks. That's what it looked like. Tanker trucks. They're massive vehicles. They come out in full gear, guns loaded. There's no real reason to go to that level. Before they do a raid, they're able to determine how many people are in the house. They knew exactly when they went there, how many people were in the house. They're able to do that from tracking and body heat and all those things that they knew. So it's not like they were unaware and showing up to some, mafia compound with like 85 people that are, protecting the home and are ready to die at any moment. They knew they were going there, and there were some maids that were working, and his two sons were in one of the building. So for them to come in, I felt that it was very excessive in just the way that they approached it. There was no real need for that. But they can decide to do whatever they want to do, but I don't think there was a real need for that, how intense it was. And one of the things that have already been alleged is that the two sons of Diddy, their mother has come forward and said it was excessive, because I guess they put her sons in handcuffs, that they eventually released them, which is not uncommon when they're doing a search. The things that have been seized, there's firearms that have been seized at both the locations. Some phones were confiscated. There was videos, a lot. There was boxes of things that were being taken out. So until we kind of get more information, we won't really know exactly what all they found, and we still don't have any yet. But going into, we were talking about some of those allegations that were in that civil complaint against Lil Jones, and let's kind of walk through it of some of the allegations, because they're very interesting in nature of how they kind of unraveled to several different things. And we talked about the RICO Act. So the Racketeering Influence and Corruption Organization is what RICO stands for, and it is actually a federal law, and it was actually enacted in 1970, so it's not all that old, and it was initially designed to combat organized crime and the mafia. And so RICO has since been applied broadly, including a variety of criminal activities, including fraud, bribery, and other offenses conducted as part of an ongoing criminal enterprise. So the elements kind of RICO are really that you've got this criminal enterprise. So you've got to show, and that's why it worked so well when they were figuring out for the mafia, was they knew there was a leader, but they also knew that all these other actions were taken underneath by other people a lot of times at the request of the main head. And they were done as a pattern of activity to further whatever their kind of goal was, to make money, to scare people, those kind of things. So that's kind of it was an organized crime. That was really it. It was kind of the first time that they had seen America goes, wait a second, what name can we put on it? When you're not just aiding and abetting bribery or aiding and abetting this, you've actually taken all these mini crimes and you've created an enterprise out of it. You've created an Amazon out of these crimes. And that's what they were doing. They were running these operations. So one of the interesting things is that's what kind of these allegations are surrounding by. And I think they were also in Cassie's allegations when P. Diddy's ex-girlfriend filed the kind of the initial lawsuit at the end of last year, the civil lawsuit against P. Diddy that was settled right after it was filed. But the allegations are kind of that there potentially is a way to put this all together and say, is Diddy part of a criminal enterprise? And what that just means is that, is he part of something where a lot of people who are underneath him are engaging in crimes? He's engaging in crimes to fuel this enterprise. And one of the examples could potentially be that the enterprise Diddy has is music. And what we're finding out is that the allegations are there's a connection between the fact that he would have sometimes artists, young artists who are starting out, who don't have any power in this world. He would bring them to his writing camp, and then they would potentially do things that were illegal, even drugs, alcohol, and then he would potentially threaten them about if they came forward and those things in an effort to continue forward, these are allegations, to continue forward his music enterprise, because then they felt bullied to sign contracts with him. They felt scared to ever leave him. And then another thing is that we found out one of the allegations from Lil Jones was that Diddy would film everything that was taking place, any type of sex with workers and celebrities, and then he would use that, allegedly, as bribery to force people to play his music, or I think even potentially have them win awards, like those kind of things. So when normally you wouldn't hear the word RICO when it comes to the music industry, with the way RICO works, it could be applied to something like this. So that could be something else the federal government's looking at and going, you know what? This does look like there has been an organized scheme here in order to further the financial interest of Bad Boy Records, Diddy, Universal Records. And they're tying everybody kind of all together who has any part of this music enterprise. So that's where you're looking at the allegations of RICO, which are definitely interesting. So The other allegation, and I won't say that Mr. Blackburn wasn't interesting in the way that he framed these allegations, causes of action is what we call them, against Diddy, because one of them was California's bystander negligent infliction of emotional distress. And the allegations stem from the fact that Lil Jones is stating that when he was at a recording studio with Diddy and a few other people and Diddy's son, that at some point in time, Diddy and his son go away and they get into a fight with I think his name was G. I think the kid's name was G. Mm-hmm. They go into a bathroom not far from the recording studio, and then people hear a couple shots ring out. When they go there, Lil Jones is in the bathroom and he sees that G has been shot, potentially I think a couple times. He's bleeding from the stomach, and that Lil Jones had to help G, and then also was said he was forced to lie and cover up what took place. And this news story that had ran in 2022 about this allegations were that it was a drive-by shooting, which now we know that doesn't sound like that's what happened. Mm-hmm. So what the allegations are is that Lil Jones was a bystander, that he was not the actual person who had been damaged by it, but because he witnessed it, that he is now suffering emotional distress. And the elements you have to prove for that was that the defendant, which would be Mr. Combs, and his sons, that their conduct was intentional or reckless, the conduct was outrageous, and that it caused emotional distress, and that the emotional distress was severe. And the way emotional distress works, and we get this all the time from people when they're like, especially with our insurance claims, right? How many times have our clients like bless their heart? Because I'm telling you, when the insurance company screws you over and doesn't pay your claim, and you're living in a mold infested house, and you're calling your insurance company, tell them you're sick and dying, and you potentially have a husband who has already died from COPD, living in the house. I mean, that's how sincere it gets. And then the insurance company seems to not care at all. Then you truly will ask your attorney sometimes, I want to sue them for emotional distress. That's what I want to do. Right emotional distress. Yeah. You can't sue them for emotional distress. You can potentially sue them for bad faith, which sometimes gets you some additional damages, but not emotional distress. Emotional distress has a high standard now because it was so abused over time. And so one of the things you have to show for emotional distress is that you have a physical manifestation, some physical manifestation of the emotional distress. What that means is you're going to need a doctor who's going to say, and your testimony usually, that you are throwing up. You have lost work. You can't go to work. Like, you got to show that it's intense and it's severe and that it has manifested its way into being more than emotional, even though it uses the word emotional. So that is one of the allegations against Diddy in this civil lawsuit. The other one is trafficking and the Victims Protection Act. So the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000 provides a framework to identify and help individuals who may have experienced trafficking. So in the court of law, one of each of the elements needs to be proven to be successful, or that there was an action, means, and a purpose. And so literally, the lawsuit's technically filing on behalf of people being trafficked, that there's trafficking of individuals that are taking place under this alleged criminal enterprise. One of the other causes of action that are in this civil lawsuit are aiding, abetting, and inducing sex trafficking venture. That is one that has elements for aiding and abetting. So aiding and abetting is going to always be, helping and assisting. So you have to show that the accused had a specific intent to facilitate the commission of a crime by another, that the accused had the intent of the underlying offense, that the accused assisted or participated in the commission or of the underlying substantive offense, and that someone committed the underlying offense. So really what they were doing in a lot of this was looking at the fact that the aiding and abetting, one of the things that he had said was that Diddy's actions that he may not have always been potentially the one sex trafficking or doing the sexual assault, but he aided and abetted it, that he gave people an avenue to do it, that he knew that it was happening. He didn't protect people nor warn people when they came to his house or to his parties. I doubt there was a sign up that said, hey, come here to Diddy land. But if you come, it may not work out well for you because these are the things we do. So that being said is that that's where the aiding and abetting kind of comes from. So we need to take another break. So stay with us when we get back and we'll continue on some of those other allegations and what could potentially be next in the potential fall of the Diddy house.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Coastal Roofing, your trusted Florida roofing experts, puts you first. They excel in delivering exceptional roofing and general contracting services, proudly serving all counties. Their dedicated team guarantees not just your complete satisfaction, but an unforgettable experience. You also get a free inspection report and damage report. Rooted in integrity and powered by expertise, they consistently achieve the right results on schedule and within budget. For one contractor, great price, expert service, Coastal Roofing, 1-800-674-3675. Get ready to elevate your nightlife experience at Club Prana. This 5-story sensation in Ybor City is the talk of Tampa Bay. Each floor boasts a unique style and music format. They roll out the red carpet as their friendly staff pampers you with VIP treatment. Club Prana meets Tampa's nightlife standards with impeccable amenities. Live the luxe life every evening at Club Prana. For VIP reservations and bottle service, call or text 813-758-7755.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back to the show. Okay, so when we're talking about next, in regards to some of those other additional allegations that were against Diddy, with the aiding and abetting, one of the other things that were stated by Lil Jones when it came to aiding and abetting was the fact that he says that Diddy literally forced or procured Cuba Gooding Jr., who was on a boat with Mr. Little Jones, to potentially try to sexually assault Little Jones. So that's where some more of that aiding and abetting potentially comes from, is saying that you did something in furtherance of allowing someone to commit a crime, that you did something in order to assist it or help kind of push through it. So some of the other allegations that were in that civil complaint, which just goes on forever and ever. I mean, it is really interesting how long the complaint goes. And I know so many people have actually read it to some degrees and have asked me about it and called me about it and are like, what do you think? What do you think? And I think that at this point in time, like I said before, is that there's all, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. But it's really deafening right now how many different celebrities are coming forward and are now kind of going back even in time and looking at some of those videos and going, maybe there is some legitimacy to everything that has been said and heard, because now they're kind of putting back all of the pieces. So some of the other causes of actions that are in this complaint are another cause of action for sexual assault. And that is where Lil Jones is technically saying that it's really against Jane Doe, but who he's saying Jane Doe is Young Miami's cousin. So Young Miami, I guess, is a rapper. And so he's saying Young Miami's cousin. Seems to be that he doesn't know Young Miami cousin's name, but he's saying that Lil Jones suffered and continues to suffer harm, including physical injury, severe emotional distress, humiliation, anxiety, because of the actions of this Jane Doe. And what he says is that when Lil Jones, he says it was on Thanksgiving Day of 2022, that he was at Mr. Combs' home in Miami, Florida, and that he went to the restroom. And while he was in the restroom, Jane Doe came into the restroom and started to perform oral sex on him while he was using the restroom. And that he fought her off. And that Mr. Combs and his associates were outside laughing. And that based on that, that's where he says that now he has more emotional distress and those kind of things. And that he is alleging that against her is sexual assault, which meets those elements based on what they've alleged. But he also is now, his other cause of action is going to be that premise liability we were talking about, where he's now saying, I also am suing Diddy because this all took place, the sexual assault that he's alleging, at Diddy's property. Because like we just talked about, that's the other thing, is that you can go after who owns the property, that he's saying that Mr. Combs had a duty to protect Mr. Jones from the harm he suffered at the hands of this Jane Doe. And that Mr. Combs breached his duty when he failed to stop Jane Doe from sexually assaulting Mr. Jones. So what's interesting about some of these causes of action is that they've existed for a long time. They've been out there in the law. Most people just don't know that they exist. So they're being used in an interesting way, which unfortunately, like, I know you hear those facts, and I don't know if you've ever heard facts that are exactly the same, but you've heard facts where people are seeing somebody else do something inappropriate and are laughing and thinking it's a joke, and then realize that it's not funny. And guess what? It can lead to you being sued as somebody watching it and not doing anything to stop it, especially if you own the home, or if you own the building it's happening into, or if you're leasing the building, that you have a duty when someone is in your premises to protect them from harm, or to warn them about harm that you knew about. So let's say you had no idea. Like let's say there isn't allegations about this happening before at Diddy's house and it was a one-off. Then Diddy would more than likely not be responsible. But the reason why they're able to potentially allege things like this is that if there is a pattern of behavior at a premises, then you now have a duty to warn anybody who comes to your premises that could potentially happen. And I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. So it's exactly like the biggest examples that we kind of usually use in this way would be like when you're suing Walmart. If Walmart knows that the floor is slippery, that they have a duty to put a sign up there and say, I may not be able to stop it from being slippery right now because somebody just threw water on it, but I see that there's water. So I'm going to put that warning sign up that says, hey, just so you know, slippery when wet, it's slippery now, please be wet. So I know it's funny when we're talking about a sign, but at this point right now, with how much is out there, if Diddy plans on having any more parties, which I would say he probably wouldn't be having any parties, but with how we've seen Diddy behave, he may be having a party. He now has a duty to put that sign up there. I know it sounds literally ludicrous, but he does. Because now, if somebody goes to a Diddy party and does get sexually assaulted with all of these allegations that are happening, that are saying, clearly people are saying, there's sexual assault that happens at these parties. I've been sexually assaulted. So which means now Diddy has been put on legal notice, because he has these lawsuits, that it's more likely than not at this point, or at least he has enough knowledge and information of what he's been given, that he probably needs to warn people for it. It's very interesting how these causes of action are being used, but this is kind of what can happen when salacious information starts coming to an attorney, and an attorney goes, hey, how do I turn these into a cause of action that meets the elements? And they truly are meeting kind of the elements. So it's the same thing with the allegations with Lil Jones. So he also has allegations against Cuba Gooding Jr. He says that when it was like January of 2023, that Diddy rented a yacht. So once again, this is technically Diddy's yacht. The premises is owned is being rented by Diddy. So that Cuba Gooding Jr. is on this boat and he tries to make advances to Lil Jones, and Lil Jones says, no, I'm not interested in any of that. I'm a Christian man. Yeah. And so it's just still so shocking about Cuba Gooding Jr. also that he's found his way back into the limelight again. But that he says in these allegations that one of the things that he's going after Diddy for is, again, premise liability. He's saying, Diddy, you rented this yacht that I came on, and you did nothing to warn me or protect me against people that you allowed on this yacht. So he says in the allegations that Diddy had control over the actions of Cuba Gooding Jr. and failed to step in and stop Cuba Gooding Jr. from sexually assaulting Mr. Jones. And I know it sounds like almost frivolous, right? To say that Diddy had control over Cuba, Cuba Gooding Jr. But with some of the stuff that we've been reading and hearing and how powerful we know that Diddy was, he does to some degree have power over people's actions. So when this would sound like a ludicrous cause of action to go after somebody for, it's meeting on its face the elements. We still have to find out if they're actually, going to be proven true or not. They're still allegations, but the allegations are meeting the elements of something like this when you normally wouldn't say that Diddy failed to control Cuba. How do I control another human being? But in this world, I do to some degree. He does to some degree, right? Because he is so powerful. And we're now learning that his power was much greater than I think most of us ever knew. I mean, he hasn't even been in the limelight for a while. He made music a while ago, but now we're seeing that his power has transcended from the time of you remembering him in the celebrity limelight. And he's had his hands in a bunch of things, no pun intended, behind the scenes. So it really can potentially meet that allegation of the premise liability. Because if it's proven that Diddy does have control over Cuba, and I don't know if it would be Cuba. I would say maybe Diddy has control over some of his artists and people that are lower than him. I don't know if I'd say he has it over Cuba Gooding Jr., but I definitely can see how that allegation's made to meet that cause of action. So the trafficking that we were talking about before is not just against P. Diddy and his son Justin Combs, but it's also against the companies, Combs Global, and also Christina, who works for Diddy. That all of them, the allegations are that they use means of force, threats of force, fraud, coercion, and combination of such means to cause Lil Jones, as well as others, some of who were under the age of 17, to engage in commercial sexual acts. That there was sexual abuse, sex trafficking, conspiracy to recruit, solicit, entice, coerce, harbor, transport, obtain, and provide Lil Jones, as well as others who are under the age, into commercial sex acts through means of force, threats of force, fraud, abuse of process, and coercion. And where we kind of saw some of those things were based on the allegations that what Lil Jones was saying was that this was really a means of almost currency in their industry, that it was power, these sex acts that were being performed, that people were more willing to create lucrative deals with Diddy, sign with Diddy, those kind of things, if they were allowed to participate or being forced to participate in these sex acts. So it's not, I've never really seen it used this before, some of these causes of action, but unfortunately, if these things are alleged to be true, they can kind of be spiraled together to go, God, I never thought about that. But to utilize sex acts as commercial currency and manipulation to get what you want is really what some of these allegations kind of stem from. So based on all of that, then we have the premise liability that there was inadequate or negligent security. That's another way that you see premise liability sometimes. I think we talked about before is that my family owned a nightclub in Tampa Bay, and we get sued for premise liability. Inadequate, insecure, and negligent security, which is absolutely not true because we have so many security guards on any given night. We've got way more than ever need be. There are times when you analyze it, it's an obnoxious amount of security guards because we want people to be safe. But that's some of the allegations that they will allege is they'll say that I got harmed while I was there, not because of the excessive drinking that I had or the fight that I started. It was because you failed to have enough security to stop me. I mean, we've literally been sued that before where someone started a fight, hit somebody over the head with a bottle, and then said, your security should have stopped me. But neither here nor there. That's one of those premise liabilities, is that you failed to have enough security, that you knew or should have known about the environment that you had going there because of the past actions, the things that have been alleged before, any lawsuits that have been filed against you before, and that you should have had enough security in order to protect them from it. So that's where we're getting some of those premise liabilities and those allegations. So that lawsuit is still pending, the civil lawsuit. Now we have the new lawsuit against his son. That's kind of in connection to some degree with it, because Lil Jones is a witness, and then it is the same lawyer. So we will just continue updating you to see where it really goes. And some of the newer allegations we've been kind of seeing is there's been a question: is Diddy the fall guy or the plant for an even bigger moguls in the music industry? It's just so heartbreaking. Again, it's like we've revealed some of the actions with the movie industry, and now here we are in the music industry. And I think the most disappointing and devastating part of everything that we're hearing is that the people in both of those industries, when you're starting, you are so innocent, desperate, insecure, and very easily to be manipulated, molded, and pushed into situations that are not healthy or good for you. So the fact that people who are at the top abuse that, it is an insult to industry, an insult to the entire industry, because all they want to do is be creative, make art, and it comes with a desperation. That's the only avenue for it. It's not like they're being a doctor and they can go to any hospital. No, you want to be an actress. There's only one place to do that. It's LA, and it's these big producers. You want to make music? It's LA. Maybe Atlanta, but with the same those producers, So it's very, very disappointing that we're continuing to hear this, and that the youth is potentially being manipulated in that way. But they're all allegations. Nothing has been proven yet. So we will keep everybody informed of what it looks like. If you have questions, reach out to us. Let us know. We love hearing the comments from our audience, that we can help potentially just educate you guys in the right direction. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you for tuning in to Legal Candy. As we wrap up, we want to remind our listeners to stay informed and critically engage with the legal news. For those interested in anything else, please reach out to us, 727-733-9438. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another delicious episode of Legal Candy with attorney Candice Colucci.